Today we're going to take a look at the Chronos Chess Clock. This chess clock is the top of the line, has all the programmed modes you would want to use in any chess game or really any other game that you play out there. Sometimes this can be a little intimidating. The manual is a 48-page manual, and all the functions of the clock are controlled with just from 3 buttons, the 2 on the side and the 1 in the middle. We've got 2 different types of clock, Chronos Chess Clock. One is the touch sensor and the other is the traditional button. Both of these clocks are programmed the same way and work the same way. I'm going to show you some of the basics of this clock today. To start with, to turn the clock on, you press the red button in the center. To turn the clock off, push the red button in the center and hit the side button 5 times, the clock turns off. When you turn the clock on, the first mode that comes up is the first user programmable mode. Now this clock actually has 12 modes that you can program and save your most commonly used games or commonly used settings. So in this case it comes up to the one I have in position number 1, which is a 5-minute blitz game. If I'm ready to play, we could hit the clock and we could get started right away. If I want to pause the game, I press the red button once, it will pause. I can continue with the game by pressing one of the side buttons again. To reset this mode, once you're in pause mode, press the red button again and you're right back to the 5-minute game. When you turn this on, that's the first user programmable mode. Press the red button again, you get number 2, number 3, and number 4. Now then if you press it again, you go back to number 1. To get to positions 5 through 8, hold down the left side when you turn the clock on. There's 5, 6, 7, and 8. And to get to 9 through 12, hold the right side down. 9, 10, and 11, and 12. So you can get to all 12 user programmable modes within just a couple pushes of the buttons, and you can get playing your games right away. If you want to see all of the 70 plus modes that are programmed into the clock, if you hold down both buttons and press the middle, it comes up and you can start to then circle through these or cycle through those and go through all 70 plus to get to the setting that you might want to get to. I'll show you more about that in just a second. So let's say I want to have my first setting actually as a 7-minute blitz game instead of a 5-minute blitz game for whatever reason. I can come in here and to edit this, I'm going to press and hold the middle button until the minutes are flashing. I'm going to add 2 minutes to each side. I'm going to leave the beep turned on. 1 means it's on, 0 means it's off. I'm going to leave the LEDs turned on. You also have the option to have the LED just a short flicker instead of a flash or instead of a steady light. I'm going to leave that turned off. I want a beep at the end of the game. I'm going to leave that turned on. I want the clock to stop at the end of the game. I can actually leave it to where if you have used all your time, you start to actually go negative, but we'll leave this to where the clock stops when one side runs out of time. And it's asking me where do I want to copy that to. I could save this to any of the 12 user programmable areas in the clock, but I'm going to leave it at 1 where it is. Press and hold the red button. Now I have that 7-minute game set there. So if I turn the clock back on, there it is. Now let's say I want to go to user program mode 2 here, which is this 90-minute game with actually a 5-second delay. Let's say with my club we play regularly, we want to play a 15-minute game with the 5-second delay. I can edit this the same way. Press and hold the red button. We'll leave the delay at 5 seconds. We're going to change this to 15 minutes. Leave everything else the same. We're going to leave the beep on, LED short off, beep at the end of the game. We're actually going to turn that on. Halt at the end of the game, we're going to turn that on. And we're going to copy that to, it's already in the position number 2. That's where we want it, so we'll save it. Now when I turn on the clock, press number 2, now I've got a 15-minute game with a 5-second delay. Now, let's say we wanted to have a kind of a standard tournament mode game, maybe 40 moves in 2 hours with a 5-second delay, and then game in an hour also with a 5-second delay. Well, that's actually one of the pre-programmed modes in the clock with one of the 70 plus. I can access those again by pressing both the outside buttons and turning it on. In this case, I know I've got to press this button 34 times or to get to position number 68. Okay, which is this one right here, D1, C1. So I'm going to play that. Now I've got a 40 minutes or 40 moves in 2 hours. We're going to leave that alone. We're going to leave the 5-second delay. And then that 1 hour for the remainder of the game. Also leave the 5-second delay. Okay, we want the beep on, we want the LED on, we'll leave the short off, we'll leave the beep at the end off, and we'll leave that last one you saw was the beep at the end of the time control. We're going to leave that off as well. Now it's asked us where we want to copy this. We're going to actually put this one now in position number 3. Okay. Now I come up, I've got a 7-minute game. I've got a 15-minute game with a 5-second delay. And now I've got my tournament 40 moves in 2 hours with a 5-second delay, and a game in an hour with a 5-second delay. I've programmed those 3. I could program all 12 to any settings that I'd like. You can get to those real quick. Chronos is a great clock. Once you get to know and understand the buttons, it's easy to program. You'll be very happy with this clock.